Hello, my dear friends. My name is Eleanor, and I'm 73 years old. Over the years, I've learned a lot from life. You see, as I've grown older, I've come to realize that the lessons I've learned were never found in books or taught by others. They came from living, from the moments of reflection that life has offered me. Today, I want to share some of these reflections with you, and perhaps they might resonate with you as they have with me. Growing up, there were many expectations placed on me, expectations that, at the time, seemed so important. I spent years striving to meet them, to be perfect, to be everything everyone else wanted me to be. But with age came wisdom, and with wisdom came the realization that living for others, trying to fit into a mold, doesn't bring true happiness. You know, in my youth, I would always rush to do this, rush to do that. I thought that staying busy was the key to a fulfilling life. But as I grew older, I discovered something truly surprising. It's the quiet moments, the stillness, the time spent reflecting that actually bring me the most peace. And trust me, my friends, it took me a long time to understand this. But now I've learned that happiness isn't about perfection, nor is it about pleasing others. Happiness comes from being true to yourself, from living each day with purpose, and from finding peace in the simple things. It's about taking a step back, embracing the beauty of who you are, and living your life on your own terms. In my program, Golden Years Bliss, I'll be sharing with you some of the daily habits and practices that have brought me joy and peace as I've grown older. I think you might be surprised at how simple and easy they are. But more than that, I hope they inspire you to reflect on your own life, to embrace the wisdom that age brings, and to live fully, no matter where you are in your journey. So grab a cup of tea, find a quiet corner, and let's talk about the moments that truly matter, the ones that can transform the way we experience life. Stay with me, and I promise that by the end of this, you'll have a new perspective on what it means to live with purpose and joy at any age. A typical morning for me begins just like any other, peaceful, reflective, and full of gratitude. The sun gently peeks through the curtains of my living room window, and I can hear the soft birds chirping outside, signaling the start of a new day. I sit in my favorite chair with a warm cup of tea in hand, feeling the comforting warmth spread through me. As I take a sip, I find myself thinking about how much my life has changed over the years. You see, when I was younger, I spent so much time chasing after things, material things, success, recognition, believing that they were the markers of a good life. I worked hard, made sacrifices, and did everything I could to gather wealth and possessions, thinking that would bring me happiness. But as I grew older, I learned a valuable lesson. One day, not too long ago, I had a quiet moment of reflection, sitting just like I am now, with my tea in hand, watching the world outside. It hit me all of a sudden. Time is the most precious thing we have, not money or possessions. I realized that for so many years, I had been so focused on accumulating things that I had overlooked the beauty of simply being present in the moment. The truth is, the time we have left is far more valuable than any amount of wealth or material things. When we reach a certain age, we start to understand that. The people we love, the moments of joy, the quiet reflections in the morning, these are the things that fill our hearts, not the things we own or the titles we carry. I remember a time when I used to worry about what others thought, what they would say, if I didn't meet the expectations set by society. But now, I look at my life and realize how foolish that worry was. Time is too precious to spend on trying to please others or gather things that won't matter in the long run. And that, my friends, has been one of the most liberating lessons of my life. Every day, I now choose to spend my time wisely. I focus on what brings me joy, on the relationships that matter most, and on the quiet moments of self-reflection. I no longer waste my time on things that don't add value to my life, or on worrying about things that I can't control. And let me tell you, that shift in perspective has brought me a peace I never imagined. As I look back on my journey, I feel immense gratitude for the time I've been given. I may not have all the material wealth I once dreamed of, but I have something far greater: peace, fulfillment, and the knowledge that I've lived a life true to myself. And that, my friends, is something worth far more than gold. As I sat there, looking out over my little garden, I couldn't help but smile at the peacefulness that seemed to surround me. I was so content in that moment, but it wasn't always this way. There was a time, not too long ago, when I was constantly anxious about what others thought of me. I remember feeling the weight of those expectations, the constant pressure to live up to a standard that wasn't even mine to begin with. One particular afternoon stands out in my memory. I had been invited to a gathering, a small get-together with some old friends. I remember the night before, as I stared at my wardrobe, agonizing over what to wear. My mind kept racing. What if they think I'm too old for this? What if my outfit isn't appropriate for my age? I spent hours trying on different clothes, examining myself in the mirror, adjusting this, tweaking that, until I finally felt ready. But even then, a small voice in the back of my mind kept whispering doubts. The moment I stepped into the room, I felt that familiar sense of self-consciousness. The looks from others, the way they glanced at me: was I good enough? Was one measuring up? But then, something amazing happened. As the evening went on, I started to feel more comfortable, more at ease. The people around me weren't judging me. In fact, they were just happy to see me genuine, authentic me. The more I let go of those fears, the more I realized that no one was looking for perfection. They were looking for connection. It was then that I had a profound realization. I didn't need to keep trying to be perfect or please everyone around me. I had spent so many years chasing an image of what I thought others wanted me to be, and in the process, I had forgotten the most important thing of all: to be myself. In that moment, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I no longer had to worry about fitting into some mold or adhering to a set of rules dictated by society. From that day on, I started embracing my imperfections, embracing the idea that I didn't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. I began to find comfort in who I truly was, flaws, wrinkles, and all. Instead of obsessing over what others might think, I began to focus on what made me happy, on the things that brought me peace, and the joy of just being present in my own life. It's a freeing feeling, I must say, to stop worrying about the judgments of others and just live for yourself. To know that your worth isn't determined by your appearance or what others think, but by the love you give, the wisdom you share, and the peace you cultivate. And when you reach that point, it's like you can finally breathe again, knowing that the only opinion that matters is your own. I wish I had learned this sooner, but I'm glad to have learned it now. And every day, I remind myself that perfection is overrated. Embracing the beauty of imperfection is what truly brings peace. I am enough, just as I am, and that's a lesson I carry with me every single day. One day, I found myself facing a situation that would push me even further on my journey toward self-acceptance. I had received an invitation to an old friend's birthday party, someone I had known for many years. We had been close at one point, but over time, our relationship had soured due to a misunderstanding. The bitterness and resentment had been building up between us, unspoken, for years. As the date of the party drew nearer, I felt the familiar pang of anxiety. Part of me wanted to go, to reconnect, to mend the old wounds. But another part of me didn't want to face the discomfort of having to face my past hurts. I thought about the conversations we had once shared and the silent hurt that had lingered. Could I really forgive and let go? I spent the night before the party in turmoil. My mind swirled with memories of past arguments and harsh words. Maybe I should just stay home, I thought. After all, she's never apologized. Why should I be the one to reach out? The grudge I had carried for so long weighed heavily on me. But deep down, I knew that holding on to it wasn't doing me any good. It was only keeping me stuck, trapped in a cycle of negativity. And so I made a decision. I would go to the party not to seek approval or reconciliation, but to let go of the resentment. I realized that forgiveness wasn't about excusing what had happened. It was about freeing myself from the grip of anger. By forgiving, I was releasing the heavy burden I had carried for so long. The only person truly affected by my unforgiving heart was me. It was my choice to hold on to the bitterness, and it was time to let go. When I arrived at the party, I felt a sense of calm, despite the apprehension in my chest. My friend greeted me with a warm smile, and in that moment, I knew I had made the right decision. We didn't have to delve into the past. We simply shared stories, laughed, and connected again in a way that felt light and natural. Later that evening, I had a quiet moment to reflect. I realized that I hadn't just let go of resentment, I had also learned to stop trying to please everyone. I had spent so much time in my life trying to be the person everyone else wanted me to be, afraid of disappointing others or creating conflict. But I had learned that I could only be true to myself. If people truly valued me, they would accept me as I am, imperfections and all. That night, I made a promise to myself. I would no longer carry the weight of grudges, and I would no longer bend over backward, trying to meet everyone else's expectations. I would honor my own feelings, needs, and boundaries. I would choose peace over pleasing others, and in doing so, I would make space for the things that truly mattered in my life. Forgiving didn't mean forgetting. It meant letting go of the control that past hurts had over me. And by choosing not to live to meet everyone else's standards, I found the freedom to live authentically, to embrace who I was, and to enjoy life on my terms. It was a turning point for me. In that moment of clarity, I realized that peace comes not from avoiding conflict or pleasing others, but from being at peace with myself, from accepting that it's okay to let go of the past and stop trying to be everything to everyone. And that, my dear friends, was a lesson that changed my life forever. As I walked through the park that afternoon, the fresh air brushing against my face, I felt a wave of realization wash over me. It had been months since I had begun the process of letting go the resentment, the expectations, the past, and now it was time for the next step, letting go of the material things that had long held my attention and time. For years, I had believed that the accumulation of possessions would bring me happiness. I filled my home with trinkets, clothes, and decor, convincing myself that each new purchase was a step closer to fulfillment. But as I sat there on a bench, watching the leaves fall gently from the trees, I knew that I had been chasing the wrong things all along. The more I reflected, the clearer it became. Those items, the clothes that hung in my closet, the beautiful but unnecessary decorations, the things I thought I needed, didn't bring me the peace or joy I had hoped for. Instead, they cluttered my space, both physically and mentally, draining my energy and attention. I found myself constantly focused on acquiring more and more, believing that the next purchase would fill the void I felt inside. But with each new possession, that feeling never seemed to go away. I decided then and there that I would begin the process of freeing myself from this obsession with material things. I started with small steps. I cleared out my closet, donated clothes I hadn't worn in years, and gave away items that no longer served me. At first, it felt uncomfortable, almost like I was giving up a part of myself. But as I saw the empty space where clutter had once been, I began to feel lighter, freer, and more focused. It was in these moments of simplicity that I began to truly embrace living in the present. I realized that I had spent far too much of my life worrying about what I didn't have, what I wanted, and what I thought I needed. The truth, as I discovered, was that the present moment, the here and now, was the only place where true joy lived. I didn't need the past, the clutter, or the pursuit of material wealth to define me. I started to invest more in experiences rather than things, spending time with friends, sitting outside with a good book, or taking long walks in the park. Each moment of connection, each smile shared, brought me a deeper sense of fulfillment than any object ever had. And more importantly, I began to feel at peace with myself. No longer did I define my happiness by the things I had or by the pursuit of perfection. Instead, I embraced the present with all its imperfections, and I found beauty in simplicity. One afternoon, as I sat by the window, sipping my tea, I thought about how much I had changed. The clutter in my home was gone, but more importantly, the clutter in my mind had also faded. I had learned to stop clinging to the past, to stop defining myself by things or by old regrets. I had let go of the idea that material possessions could bring me happiness. Instead, I now focused on what truly mattered: love, connection, peace, and the present moment. I no longer felt the need to chase after things or measure my worth by what I owned. I had found a new strength in myself, one that was not defined by things, but by the person I had become. It was in this simplicity that I truly found peace. I had embraced the art of living fully in the present, freed from the burdens of materialism, and I knew that the journey ahead would be one of deep joy and contentment. In letting go of the past and the things I once thought I needed, I had created space for a new life, one that was not about chasing after more, but about appreciating what I had and living each moment with gratitude. And in doing so, I discovered that the true beauty of life isn't in what we acquire, but in how we live. As I sat by the window, watching the soft rays of the afternoon sun filter through the leaves, I felt a sense of quiet joy fill me. Life had changed so much for me, but there was something beautiful in that change. The more I reflected on the years that had passed, the more I realized how important it was to not only embrace the present, but to also honor my own needs. For so long, I had focused on the needs of others, putting my own desires and happiness on the back burner. But as I grew older, I began to see that it wasn't selfish to acknowledge and express my own needs. It was necessary for my well-being. The years I had left were too precious to be spent constantly trying to please others or ignoring my own happiness. I thought back to a recent conversation with my dear friend who had asked me how I was doing. For the first time in a long while, I didn't just say I'm fine or everything's good. Instead, I paused and said, I'm really trying to focus on what I need right now. I need to slow down. I need to take care of myself. And I need to make space for the things that bring me joy. It felt freeing to finally say those words out loud, to be honest with myself and others about what I truly needed. We often think that as we age, we are supposed to give everything we have to others, whether it's our time, our energy, or our love. But in doing so, we can lose ourselves. And so, I've learned to voice my needs, no matter how simple or small they may seem. It might be asking for some quiet time to read or walk, or requesting help when I feel overwhelmed. It could be telling my family I need more time to rest, or just needing a moment to myself without feeling guilty about it. When we are younger, we are taught to be selfless and to prioritize others. But as we age, I've come to understand that it's okay to ask for what we need. In fact, it's necessary. I have learned that it's not a weakness to speak up for myself. It's an act of self-respect. My happiness and well-being matter, and I no longer feel the need to apologize for that. And this change in mindset has brought an unexpected lightness to my life. I've realized that when I honor my needs, I am better able to give to others, not out of obligation, but out of love. It's like when you're on an airplane and they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. I'm learning that when I take care of myself, I can be more present, more compassionate, and more joyful in everything I do. So, as I sip my tea and think about the days ahead, I feel a deep sense of peace. Life is no longer about meeting others' expectations or seeking validation from outside sources. It's about embracing my own journey, and in doing so, I've found a joy and fulfillment I never thought possible. I am here, present, and grateful for all that life has given me. And I know now, more than ever, that it's okay to ask for what I need. The most beautiful gift we can give ourselves, especially as we age, is the permission to be ourselves, to speak our truth, and to honor our needs. As I sat in the warmth of my living room, with the sun gently setting outside the window, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come. The years had taught me many lessons, but one of the most important ones was learning to let go of comparisons. There was a time in my life when I constantly looked around, measuring my success, my happiness, and my accomplishments against those of others. I'd see people with bigger houses, more grand vacations, or seemingly perfect families, and I couldn't help but feel inadequate at times. But now, as I've grown older, I've realized how unnecessary and draining that constant comparison was. Every time I looked at someone else's life, I was ignoring the beautiful, unique journey that was mine alone. The truth is, we all walk different paths, and what works for one person may not work for another. That's what makes life so rich and diverse, and we don't need to fit into anyone else's mold. I remember a moment, not too long ago, when I found myself scrolling through social media, looking at the picture perfect moments of other people's lives. It was easy to fall into that trap of feeling like I was missing out or wasn't living up to some ideal. But then I stopped myself. I put my phone down and thought, why am I letting this affect me? I have my own beautiful life, one filled with meaningful experiences, love, and joy. From that moment on, I made a conscious decision to stop comparing myself to others. I began to appreciate my own journey and focus on the things that truly brought me happiness. I didn't need a grand house or a flashy vacation to feel fulfilled. What mattered to me was the love of my family, the quiet moments of peace I had cultivated, and the joy of simple pleasures, like reading a good book or spending time in nature. Instead of measuring my worth against the accomplishments or lifestyles of others, I shifted my focus inward. I started prioritizing my happiness. I learned to enjoy the things that made me happy, things that didn't require approval or validation from anyone else. I've come to understand that my happiness doesn't depend on comparing my life to someone else's. It's about embracing what I have, cherishing the people I love, and finding contentment in the present. Life is too short to spend time wishing for someone else's path. We are all on our own unique journey, And every step we take is a step toward our own version of happiness. As I reflect on these lessons, I feel a sense of gratitude for the life I've lived and the life that's still ahead of me. I've learned to let go of comparison and to embrace my own joy. And with that shift in perspective, I found a sense of freedom that I never expected. I'm no longer worried about how my life measures up to others. Instead, I'm focused on the happiness I can create in my own life, in my own way. And that, my friends, is the true key to peace and contentment in our golden years. As I sit here, reflecting on my life and the lessons I've learned, I'm filled with a deep sense of peace. The journey of growing older has brought many changes, some challenging and others beautiful, but through it all, one truth has remained clear: true happiness comes from within. For so many years, I thought that happiness depended on what I had, where I went, or how others saw me. But now, at 73, I understand that the real joy lies in accepting and loving who I am, just as I am. Through the years, I've learned that life is not about comparing ourselves to others or chasing after things we think will bring us happiness. It's about embracing what we have, savoring the simple moments, and most importantly, nurturing the relationships and experiences that truly bring joy. We all have our unique stories, and each step of the way is valuable in its own right. The lesson I've come to cherish most is this: never wait for the perfect moment to live the life you deserve. Happiness isn't something that will come to you once you meet a certain milestone, own a particular possession, or fit into someone else's idea of success. Happiness is created in the here and now, in the choices you make today to love yourself, appreciate what you have, and find peace in the present moment. As I reflect on the years behind me, I realize that I've lived a life full of meaning, not because of the things I've acquired, but because of the love, wisdom, and experiences I've embraced. I have learned that the most important thing is not how others perceive us, but how we perceive ourselves. I've stopped living for approval and started living for me. And in doing so, I've found a quiet strength that carries me forward with grace and confidence. So, my dear friends, as you move through your own journeys, I encourage you to remember this: you are enough, just as you are. Your happiness, your worth, and your peace don't depend on external factors. They are within you, and they always have been. Take a deep breath, embrace the moment, and live fully, authentically, and joyfully. Because the best years of your life aren't ahead of you. They're here, right now. Thank you for being part of this beautiful space with me. I hope my story has touched you, and I encourage you to share your own thoughts and experiences. You are not alone in this journey together. We can continue to grow, learn, and thrive in our golden years. Keep shining, my dear friends. The best is yet to come. As we come to the end of this chapter together, I want to thank you for joining me on this beautiful journey of self-reflection, growth, and embracing the present. I hope my words have resonated with you and inspired you to embrace your own unique journey with love, gratitude, and peace. If you found meaning in this video, I would love for you to take a moment to like and subscribe to the Senior Moments Matter channel. By subscribing, you'll become part of a community that cherishes the wisdom and beauty that comes with aging, and where we support one another as we continue to grow and thrive. I'd also love to hear from you. What did this story bring up for you? How are you embracing your own golden years with grace and confidence? Feel free to leave a comment below, share your thoughts, or ask any questions you may have. I'd be so happy to connect with you and hear your own experiences. Remember, we're all in this together. Our stories, Our lessons and our wisdom matter. Let's continue to share and celebrate life as we move forward with grace, love, and the quiet confidence that comes with knowing we are enough. Until next time, take care, stay beautiful inside and out, and keep shining brightly.